Hey everybody, this is Sheets, and we're going to be doing week 9 of the Survivor Pool Review. Got a little lucky this past week. We had both Philadelphia and Tampa. We did a little Kansas City also, and both Philadelphia and Tampa were looking pretty grim for a while there. But they managed to pull it out, and we're moving on. Uh, in a weird way, it would have been it's kind of hard to explain this, but I had a decent amount of both of them. And once Philly got past, it almost was better if Tampa lost, just because of the way I just kind of allocated my portfolio. But in any case, moving along, no big knockouts this past week. For those who went to Tennessee, again, if you didn't have Kansas City, I felt that going to Tennessee was an okay option. But they got knocked out, and somebody else got knocked out. People who play Green Bay got knocked out, but I don't imagine it was that many people. So we're almost halfway through the season, and for some of us, we're going to be in pools that require double picks, and that's one of the reasons why we are saving some of these teams and taking a lot of risk early so that we could drop these bombs on people later when everybody's used teams like that. So we're going to go through this week, and the process is going to be the same. We are going to, again, we're going to look for teams with good immediate EV. That is a combination of good winning chances and low owned, because again, you have two similar teams that are equal winning chances. You want to take the one with the greatest degree of leverage. And we want to pick teams that are not going to be part of our future plans, whether that be finding nice contrarian plays later with a certain team, or just overall mapping, like making sure that they fit your plan for getting all the way to the end. And we'll talk a little bit about that. So in week 9, we are ranking these teams again by immediate EV. And you'll see, like, by the way, you see Pittsburgh, they have the highest raw winning percentage, right, at 86%. Yet, because they are going to be about 33% owned, they are going to have almost just the same immediate EV as Kansas City. Okay, so here's the deal: both these teams have, significantly higher EV than everybody else. But again, I feel as though that saving at least one of them is very, very wise. Okay, because you're going to get later in the season and you're going to want to have flexibility as much as possible. To wit, or as an example, like in week 10, Pittsburgh is going to be one of two really, really high favored teams, and you're going to want to be able to use them if you can. Likewise, in week 11, they're going to be one of two highly favored teams, and you're going to want to have them available. Was there another one? I think 13 also. Week 13. So they have significant future value, Pittsburgh. So even though their immediate EV is really high, I would save those and save them for the future. With respect to Kansas City, it's kind of similar. Their EV is really high, and believe it or not, their EV is a little. It's pretty much the same, actually. I mean, they have some value in 11, but they have some, great value in 13, some value in 14, really good value in 16. So again, even though both these teams have significantly good EV, it's probably a good idea to save these guys. And I know what you guys are thinking. You're like, well, when do we get to use them? Be patient. You'll see. You'll see. If we can somehow survive to the point where, seriously, you're gonna thank me for this. If when nobody has, for example, let's just say we get to week 13, and you're able to save both Pittsburgh and Kansas City, right? And very few people have Baltimore left available. You're going to have a lot of leverage on these guys. Not so much in week 13 because people have Seattle, but let's say you make it to week 14 and all those people that played Seattle in week 13, they're out of them. And now you have Kansas City, and you'll be the only one to have them available. San Francisco, they're not going to be 8.5-point favorites. They lost all their players. So that's why you do stuff like this. So now let's talk about some guys that you can play. So first thing is Houston. Now Houston, they got lucky in that Jacksonville is they lost Minshew, and they're replacing him with a rookie quarterback. So that's why they're rating to be about a 75% favorite to win. And for now, it looks like they're only about 11% owned. I don't know if that's going to stick. So if they, I would keep checking back at this site or sites like it to make sure their EV still ranks as high as it does. If so, then I think they're definitely one of the top plays. Now you see the difference between all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plays. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams that all have pretty much the same EV. Houston, Tampa, Green Bay, Tennessee, New England. See, now here's the difference between them. So Tampa, they have significant future value here in week 14 and here in week 17. So between Houston and Tampa, it's clear. Houston you're never going to use. You're not going to use them in 16 against Cincinnati. It's possible, but Tampa, week 14 and week 17, that's significantly better. And you probably don't even have Tampa Bay left anyway. If you've been following my advice, you've burned them at some point. Green Bay, you definitely don't want to use because Green Bay you're going to want here even in week 10 where they're going to be the best option, or maybe even in week 12 where they're also could be the best option. So Green Bay would be an atrocious play this week. Tennessee could be interesting. Okay, so they're okay because they have the same EV as all these other guys, and their future value is not quite as big. Now, you do have them available in 14 and 15 as decent-sized favorites, but it's not like they're 15-point favorites like some of the other guys we talked about. So Tennessee's future value is a little lower. So I think Tennessee would probably be the next play alongside of Houston, okay, factoring all of it in. And then you have New England. So New England, if you still have them available somehow, I can't see any reason to argue with playing them this week. I mean, they have the same EV as some of these others, and they really don't have a lot of future value if you look out here. If you can get to week 17, then yes, you might be able to sneak them and hold on to them until then. So I would say that Tennessee's future value is very similar to something like maybe like Houston, something like that. So maybe like Tennessee. I'm actually a little less future value than Tennessee. So I think that you do have, if you do have New England available, I think maybe they're a little bit better than Tennessee, just because their lack of future value. Tennessee has a little more future value than New England. So I think New England's a little better than Tennessee, given the numbers the way they are now. If you want to drop down a little bit, Arizona, I don't think it's worth the risk to drop down to them. Because first of all, you have some future value with them too. They're playing the Giants at some point, playing home against Philly. Minnesota, you definitely don't want to use them because they're going to be extremely elite plays here in week 13, I believe, coming off of playing Jacksonville at home for openers. Or in week 11, they're playing Dallas at home, and Dallas is completely hopeless right now. Atlanta's the last team that I would even consider. I mean, again, if you're in a pool where you need double picks or triple picks later, or you need to really boost, the strength of your entry, you could play Atlanta, really asking for it. But, if you want to be risky, you play them. They have zero future value, and they're not owned at all. That's why their EV is it's pretty similar to some of these others. So if you really want the mad scientist play, you'll go to Atlanta. Otherwise, for me, it looks like it's going to be some combination of Houston, Tennessee, and New England. So again, to summarize, Pittsburgh and Kansas City are both the best EV plays, but we're going to be holding them off for the future. Houston and, Tampa and Green Bay are good EV plays, but we're definitely holding them off for the future. And so for me, it's Tennessee, New England, and Houston. Now, again, a lot of you probably use both these guys, Tennessee and New England. So in that case, take Houston. Me, I used Houston in some in week 5. So I'm going to have some entries where I have to take Tennessee, New England. I have to see if I have any entries with all 3 of them used. I don't think I do. But if you did, like if you used Houston, Tennessee, New England, then I might go on tilt and go down and play Atlanta or something like that. I would rather do that than pay up for these high EV teams, you know, with all this future value. That's it. You know, we're moving along. We are going to be putting the hammer down on people hopefully sooner than later with some of these teams we've been saving, and hope you guys are still in and following along.